Well, hi everyone. Happy to be joining the Intix group here, and our longtime friends. I think this is our fifth or sixth, maybe seventh even, Intix. And despite the challenges that we as an industry experienced in 2020, we wanted to highlight some of the bright spots that we saw and some of the creative initiatives that helped ticketing organizations pivot and in 2020 and some intro even into early 2021. A little bit about myself here before we get in. When I am not helping companies control on sales and product releases and get the most out of Qt and our team and our all of that, I'm probably chasing around a 2.5-year-old or a 4-year-old here. As you can see, we are here in Minneapolis. So actually there's snow outside my window, and you can see stocking caps on our head for family photos. So prior to coming back to start our US office here, I did spend time with our Copenhagen team, and if there's one thing that I'm looking forward to at the end of all this, it is getting back with teammates and friends there. So just to make sure everyone understands the perspective that Qt is coming from, in case you didn't know, Qt is helping ticketing organizations with major on sales and on sales that challenge the infrastructure that's in place. Simply more demand coming often than our systems are ready for. Also continuing to advance the solution in terms of bot protection, abuse, and fraud protection, and these sorts of things. So we've been doing it since 2010, as you can see here. So your math is probably correct in that we celebrated our 10th anniversary in July, of course virtually, but have continued to be able to use our technology. We feel very lucky throughout this year to also help, on the front lines, if we dare say that, with some public sector and benefits administration. From the first masks going out in Hong Kong in February around COVID to now helping with COVID vaccine administration. We just feel very lucky to continue to be able to help in these challenging times. So again, based on where you are in the world, you probably have someone in Qt close by. Our global headquarters is there in Copenhagen, as I showed. We operate out of Minneapolis here in the US, and have been doing that for coming up on 4 years. And also have a presence in Sydney and are expanding that as we've seen continued interest from that market. But let's not spend too much more time talking about us. Let's talk about the things that we've seen this year from that perspective. We can say it only so many times. It's been a challenging year, but what are some of the bright spots that we can bring forward? And what we have seen is organizations really making and trying to maintain and trying to continue to nurture an emotional connection with their audience, and primarily the conduit to that is the brand that so many have worked hard for tens, if not hundreds of years in some cases, of the institutions that are being served here. So a few of the places that we see major innovation and development during this time was pivoting and like we said, talking about helping out the greater good, using the same resources to move away maybe from live entertainment or our core audience and see how we can use that. Reimagining the venue and the experience. What do we already have built with these folks, our audiences? They miss being with us, and they miss the experience, and they actually miss being in that place, right? So how do we do that? And then finally, a little bit about some of the innovative things that we're seeing people do with their brands that maybe you've considered, or maybe will be some learnings. And we'll take a look ahead as we're all trying to do so. So as I mentioned, nurturing emotional connections with your brand to stay relevant with your audience. Not trying to sound like a social media maven or something like that, but this is where a common theme of what we've seen work well in terms of driving demand, even during these times where people are at home. And, why is that important? Well, we're also going to be hopeful and say that we think that demand is being pent up, right? And people are anxious to come back, and they'll have some money for that, and will also need to compete for all the attention as things are opening up. And I think the other thing we can see in certain markets already, being a global company and keeping an eye on global events, we can see in Guangzhou, the marathon, and people out for running, they feel safe. And then also New Zealand has been applauded for how they've handled this. And that means that people get to be back in parks, back at festivals. And these are, pictures within the last month, as you can see on the timestamps there. People feel safe, they're going to be there. So that's great. And so what can we do as we're working towards that from, let's say, if you're in the US market, like I'm sitting here today. So one of the first things is reminding people of the good that we can be doing, and setting that aside to take those steps. You may have heard of Ticket to Me. We have worked with them in the Philippines market, in the Asia Pacific region. Early on, they identified, how can we help while other things are basically being parked, right? So raising almost $250,000 for PPE and care and food packages for healthcare workers. And this is something that so many people pitched in with efforts around the world and across industries. So Ticket to Me just took that step as well. Some of our dear friends at the Kennedy Center also, offering their kids programs. I mean, I read Knuffle Bunny to my son. So Mo Willems here is content that we would have gotten into if we were members there, and I had caught this sooner. Maybe we'll watch this video after the fact. But anyway, kids stuck at home has been something that is near and dear to my heart, as you saw, and we've been lucky enough to address that situation. But how do you do that, right? And any tool helps. I'll tell you that. And the Kennedy Center, getting this into a new channel for people to consume has to be appreciated by parents in the DC area there. So and then also Kiewit Customer Connect Space, doing online events typically. They pivoted and helped the state of Michigan get small business grants out using their technology. we're also seeing this just announced in the last couple days, and maybe some people in this room, even this virtual room. Eventbrite getting in the news about how they're helping Florida. We are seeing other ticketing platforms start to take on events and help with this this part that hasn't been core to their business to this point, but absolutely, when you've built some of the things that some of the players in our industry have built, they should and could be used to get this vaccine sorted out and out to our country and across the world. So we also then have, as things came to a pause, a lot of question asking how do we reimagine the venue? How do we reimagine the experience? Yes, we know it might be temporary, but again, how do we stay relevant? And some of the things we'll look at here, actually we should take some inspiration from artists and know that again, they sometimes have the machines behind them as well, being creative about this, but great examples of how do we have some marquee events during this time and stand out. So I think the easiest step was that baby step into like a drive-in concert, right? It was still able to get Garth Brooks on a stage in a way, sell some tickets and get some fans out of their house, still safely in their cars to participate to this concert, and this one was able to get people a sense of this, and I think we've seen this in other by other acts as well, and not just in the U.S. but also even a Danish artist, making headlines early on actually by doing something like this. So not just here in the U.S. our country acts touring or getting on a stage or in drive-ins. We also saw this as something that some people tried around the world. And my guess is that Mads Langer is going to be remembered as that guy, that young artist who actually did the drive-in venue there, and will be forever a part of Danish history in that sense. And similar to maybe what others have described here too, streaming versus your fan clubs, or streaming versus via your members, right? So we've also seen some of the technology platforms, the ticketing platforms, extend their offering and enhance their streaming services, and we'll talk about some of the things to be ready for there. The interesting thing when things catch on Qubit's radar is people don't always know what to expect when they're doing something like this for the first time, and this BTS example of being able to actually offer more seats virtually than you would be able to one stadium show, right? And this is something that hopefully arts organizations carry forward in terms of thinking, how do we actually acquire new audience? Sometimes you actually have to extend your reach, and sometimes that might even come certainly at a lower cost, but fundamentally what we also see from artists reporting here is merchandise sales, other revenues kicking up. We'll get to some streaming results that get driven, so you have that. And then also I think not to get too far away, but just to inspire this whole interactive experience for fans, to be virtually sitting next to each other, cheering on their team. I mean, obviously these are expensive video boards, but also giving the viewer at home watching the game a different feel of not quite a full arena, but people watching and this sort of thing. So you know, what are some of the other inspirations we can take here? Even if we don't have the budget that the NBA deployed for this, how are there are definitely other tools emerging that could help with this, right? And then actually something that even started before COVID, streaming in video games, and artists who have their fan bases that align closely with some of the gaming audiences. And here actually interesting one, and Travis Scott will be someone that quite honestly I've never heard a song of his, but there's a case study there in terms of what he has done during this COVID period to maintain relevance and leverage his brand to stay relevant and continue to also make money. But anyway, for a 9-minute performance, you know, he was able to basically draw $20 million, and that's pretty crazy to think about. Also, the streaming boost that Marshmallow, another artist who used the same Fortnite channel, you know, boosting streaming like crazy there, 20,000%. So so what are the inspirations we can take there? Because we have seen this also in the arts and culture organizations, and the National Theater is a great example of that. Literally called one of the highlights of lockdown. And what they were able to do is form a key partnership with YouTube and get buy-in from artists and performers. And obviously there's some production value here too. Let's not, you know, forget about that. But they've been able to actually, you know, create something pretty incredible. And let's get to what that exactly was. So, you know, goals is similar to what probably many of you had as goals. How do we raise income from donations when we don't have seats that are being paid for? How do we engage the audience that used to be in those seats? And we know that there's going to be some things that stay and some things that go back to normal. So let's spend some time experimenting with new digital formats in case they are the ones that stick around. You know, and actually, what this actually turned into is now a subscription service. So launching a program like this so successfully that they were doing it all for free to then balance it out with donations coming. They were able to use actually YouTube donations type of feature where 50% of the donations coming in during this time were coming from YouTube donations, and then 50% just through their normal website. And this is pretty incredible case study, and now it's actually become a new revenue stream for the National Theater. What are some of the things that they prepared for and dealt with during this time? You know, as we're thinking about the technology that has to supplement that sort of strategy, right? Okay, when do we actually do this? You know, people are at home, at least during lockdown periods, 24/7, more or less, right? So how do we get their attention? And then, you know, how do we actually make sure that this is a rich production, a rich quality of digital file, and how do we actually even do the post-production to make sure all that happens? Those were new challenges, but again, as we saw when you talk about success, worth pulling the lever on that. And then I think, again, one of the common things for some of these situations is like, you can forecast and you can guess and you could maybe run a survey to get some indication, but like first time doing things like this, will the website be able to cope with an extended audience? So not just the theater audience, you're able to reach 15 million people with this. Will our ticketing system be able to cope with the influx in donations and where we're taking those in? And then finally, when you move virtual, security is still an issue, right? But takes a different light. And how do we still make sure that this is a secure type of thing, and we're not? I think the phrase was Zoom bombed early on in COVID when there was nefarious activities on hacking Zoom events. So and that got used as in a broader context. So these are things that they were able to overcome, but are also things that it should not be forgotten about when if considering trying to get something up and running like this. And I think, reimagining the venue also comes along with, it can actually be fairly simple. And maybe some again in the room have tried this, but a local example here, sitting in Minneapolis, if you're a Prince fan or remember the movie Purple Rain, front and center was First Avenue, and that place has a rich history here in Minneapolis. And so the organization that runs First Avenue has launched a program about Recorded at First Avenue. So if fans can't be there, maybe they can feel like it by seeing a band on stage there, despite the audience. And I've seen this with a couple other Nashville venues, New York venues as well, and something that can be fairly easily imagined, and adding the video production is what happens there, right? So I think along with that, brand is like also realizing the actual value of the brand and doing the brand extension exercise. So expanding into the spaces where your brand makes sense. Thinking outside of the box, but also thinking of what, in a way, defines you to your audience, right? And so a couple of great examples for that. You're a modern art museum. Well, design is a component of your brand. And so we've helped the Museum of Contemporary Art in Chicago, both in ticketing and in their e-commerce space, because they have been able to build really amazing collaborations with modern tastemakers like Virgil Abloh, founder of Off-White, which is one of the coolest footwear and streetwear companies out there right now. And actually he's now taking over as an artistic director for the men's lines in Louis Vuitton. So he's coming from Chicago, has a personal bond with MCA, and actually works with them to launch a couple products and sync that brand collaboration up. That one is, and other artists as well, coming from there and doing those collaborations. And then a less obvious one, and again, close to home here, but one that actually had, tickets sold and complete sellouts and this sort of thing. But hey, here in Minnesota at the State Fair, this is actually, despite not being the second biggest state in the country, it actually, I guess, is the second biggest state fair amongst the states behind the state of Texas. And so this is something that draws tens of thousands per day, the last 10 days of summer, the 10 days before Labor Day. And this is it's a state pastime, really. And when you think of the state fair, you think of all the crazy food you're going to get to eat on a stick. And so the creative team over there said, maybe we can do a parade and a drive-through where people can at least get some of their favorite foods and at least a little bit of a taste, literally and figuratively, of what it's like coming out to the fair. So, hopefully you've had your breakfast or lunch or dinner and aren't driven to too many tasty treats here. But the mini donuts, the French fries, the cheese curds, the bucket of cookies. These are famous things that people once a year are excited about. It's like Christmas at the end of the summer for Minnesotans. And so how they took a look at what actually defines us. Is there something, a spirit of that we can achieve? This went off really well. And again, I think also actually even got a second run, and also even had tickets ending up on the secondary market at a price at a premium because people wanted to get out there so bad, and there was a limited amount. So a little bit more there. But again, just another example of what's our brand, what can we do to engage with our audience, given the current constraints, a high level of creativity there. So again, another thing about Hewitt, we are also working in e-commerce on product releases and these sorts of things. And so actually, we often see live entertainment acts and artists during this time. We have seen them do other creative things, and so with footwear, you have Post Malone, who on brand has had a collaboration running with Crocs, and that has created a way for an artist to collaborate there. Bad Bunny, Justin Bieber, and then also even a country act, Luke Combs, all doing this type of footwear release. And not just the young hip accounts, but also, and not that Grateful Dead is not hip, but these were some of the biggest exciting sneakers from the year, most sought after. So the Grateful Dead extending their brand into some of this as well, and I think there's other opportunities to do that. That is again just a leveraging of the brand that has been long standing for some of the organizations in the Intix community, right? So just a little bit more about that here. And then also again, highlighting on Fortnite concerts, Travis Scott, also an incredibly collaborative artist with brands doing things from high-end fashion to McDonald's collaboration, and just he's been able to maintain so much heat that people will get excited about going to McDonald's to order a special menu item, and so what again is that gravitas that draws people to that? Again, our organizations here probably have something that can be leveraged or inspired by this. So also just taking some of that inspiration, we hope that we're getting to the other side of this pandemic. And there might be a few more plays to run though before people are are fully back in the house. So we're going to talk about some of the things that we've seen happen in 2020, and then also as things have opened up in certain regions, and then also certain industry verticals that might be adjacent to our arts and culture and live entertainment space. But what we have seen, right, is that there has been some launching of technology to reimagine the experience here. I'm sure, have had either had to be looking into this deeply yourself, or team members. How are we going to foster safety and security when people are back together and in those early days? And then also potential restrictions. Are we going to open up despite having some limited capacity? And what we have seen from outdoor type of activities and registrations and bookings that have been able to occur during this time, this drives demand big time. People get excited, anxious that they might not get that seat or get a part of that lower capacity, and so it will drive more demand around it. And our audiences, as they're opening back up, may look a little bit different, and I think these are things that you all have deeply thought about as well. So as we talked about, there may be this period of capacity lower than normal across the board, and what we've seen is that this actually will drive demand. How actually is that going to be managed? Are there new things that need to be added to the team, to the organization, to the process around managing that? And there's that compressed demand. We also have done some additional research and have a blog post out there, and we can definitely share that following this as well. But I think again, back to our urging of you to think about the brand and think about the connections that you have with your audience that will drive that excitement and eagerness to come back to you. Because one of the new things, and one of the things no one knows completely, is what will stick from the last what will end up being 9 to 18 months, we hope, and what won't. And so there will be this new concept, not a new concept, but an extension of the attention economy. Long ago, Netflix founder, CEO Reed Hastings made a comment about, we don't compete against HBO Max or Disney Plus or whatever. Actually, we compete against sleep. Like, can we keep people's attention, and these sorts of things. And with the options that will open up at the same time, and the list of things that people will have missed and want to get back to, how do you maintain or get yourself prioritized in that list? It's leveraging that brand, having touch points with your customers, because we do believe that people will want to shake off the last 12 to 18 months. I'm sure most of us do. They will, again, have a lot competing for their attention, and start working down that list. Staying top of mind will pay dividends later, and again, give you a chance to also give a lifetime experience of remember when this happened during these strange times, or when we were just getting back to normal. And memorable brands and experiences will win and drive the excitement to help us come back and recover from this as an industry. So again, here's to the innovators and creators and people being creative about coming up with solutions, coming up with ideas, and trying new things as we march towards that. Again, thank you so much for your time today. Qt is happy to continue to serve the ticketing industry and these organizations that are always so warm and uplifting during the Intics conference, and we'd just like to know if there's anything else we can do to help. You absolutely let us know, and we'll be there. So thank you.